It's been a week since the brutal assassination of Charlie Kirk. Practically everybody's heard of it by now. I read a news article that said that one person said that they couldn't escape it. Even if they wanted to, they couldn't. Their entire Facebook feed was just filled. Every post was about it. That's the way it was on my Facebook. Everybody was talking about it because of how just savage and brutal it was. It's also left this country, I believe, in a state of fear, a state of despondency, and a state of concern over where we're going as a country. Can you resonate with those feelings? Do you feel depressed? Do you feel anxious? Do you feel concerned about where we're going as a country? I believe that there are some good things coming out of this tragic event, and there are ways that we as a country can take this and turn it in such a good way, and in a way that Charlie Kirk would have been so happy to see. I believe that we as a nation can come out of this better and stronger. Before we get into that, if you like this video, please hit the like button, please subscribe, please share this video, and please comment. Tell me where you were when you found out about the assassination. Tell me how it's affected you, your family, your community, the people around you. I truly believe that this is a watershed moment for the country, a turning point, if you will, for our country. And I'm always interested to hear from others around the country, around the world, how this event has affected them, especially if you've seen good come out of it. So please share in the comments how it's affected you, where you were, your experience with this whole ordeal that our entire country has been through. But for now, let's get to some of the news. I'm gonna start with a brief recap of where we are right now, but I don't want to stay there. So the recap is last Wednesday, that would be on the 10th, Charlie Kirk was speaking at an event and he was shot in the neck with an assassin's bullet from about 200 yards away. The video is graphic and brutal. It's truly a sad video to watch, and YouTube has put a sensitivity filter on it for very good reason. It is a graphic, brutal video. Authorities made a couple arrests. They've released a couple people because they were not the perpetrator. They have finally arrested a 22-year-old named Tyler Robinson. His family turned him in after recognizing photos of him and photos of the rifle that authorities found wrapped in a blanket nearby. Turns out Tyler Robinson was living with a trans individual, almost certainly was in a relationship with a trans individual, despite what the media likes to frame it as in, you know, they were just roommates. It's almost certain that they were in a relationship with each other. It's almost certain that Tyler Robinson was affected by that relationship, and it motivated him to some extent. A series of text messages was turned over to authorities by this individual. The individual is cooperating fully with police, which is admirable, and I applaud and commend. The series of text messages essentially confirms it's essentially a confession by Tyler Robinson, assuming that it's a genuine text conversation and it wasn't faked or manipulated or created by anybody for any reason. Assuming it's genuine, it's essentially a confession by Tyler that he did it, why he did it. It was motivated by hate based on Charlie Kirk's political convictions. So if it's accurate, we are dealing with a political assassination here. The authorities are also investigating whether there were multiple people that had foreknowledge of the event and just kept quiet because they wanted it to happen. That's all still up in the air. We are still in kind of a fog of war sort of environment where they're still running their investigation. They're not going to release everything they know, and we'll just have to let it play out and see what happens. We have seen, though, what I believe to be some very positive reactions to this tragedy, and to start the discussion on those, I'm going to read from a couple articles. The first article is from Post Millennial. It's from the Post Millennial, and the title of the article is "Prayer Vigils Pop Up Around the Globe in Honor of Charlie Kirk." And I'm going to skip down the article some. It talks about how there are vigils organically popping up around the country. Tennessee, Arizona, University of Alabama, Texas A&M, Vancouver, Washington, Boise, Idaho, Connecticut, as well as highlighting that there are some deep blue areas where you would not necessarily expect to see prayer vigils or vigils in general popping up to honor Charlie Kirk, just because of his deep red convictions, generally speaking. But for example, in the deep blue area of Seattle, there was a vigil held. I'm in the Detroit metro area, and while there are a decent number of conservatives in the area, it's kind of turning into a little bit of a swing state, a swing county, but the Democrats still have a large hold in the area, and in Michigan, generally speaking, definitely in Michigan. But even in our area, I've personally heard of at least 2 vigils that were held in honor of Charlie Kirk, including at Oakland University. It's not just in the U.S. The post-millennial article goes on to reveal that there were vigils held worldwide in places such as London, Australia, South Africa, Germany, just to name a few. This was truly a global event, and people are reacting globally. And they're reacting by getting together and coming around each other and comforting each other. And these vigils are not marked by anger. They're not marked by rioting or burning things down. They're marked by prayer. They're marked by singing. They're marked by resolve to take forward what Charlie Kirk stood for, which is respectful communication and dialogue. Charlie Kirk was marked by his entire organization was marked by the idea that we will talk to anybody about anything, and if you disagree with me, you come to the front of the line and I will talk to you first. But I'm getting ahead of myself. The second article I'd like to read is from Not the Bee. Not the Bee brings up the Google search website, which shows that it brings up a tweet from a man named Robert Sterling, who did a Google search, or who looked on the website that tracks what people search on Google, and you can search for what people searched for and see how many times those searches occurred over a certain period of time in the past. And Google searches, according to Robert Sterling, this is a tweet from Robert Sterling, Google searches for the word church are the highest in 12 months. I fact-checked this. I went to trends.google.com/trends, and I typed in the search term church. I set it for the past 12 months, and it is the highest over the past 12 months. There's one instance that's very, very close. There have been 100 searches in this time period so far. The time period that we're talking about right now is September 14th through September 20th. It's currently the 17th. We haven't reached the end of that time period which it's referring to. So far in this time period that we haven't even reached the end of yet, there have been 100 searches for the word church. There's only one period in the last 12 months that comes close to that, and that is the time period of April 13th through the 19th. In other words, Holy Week, Good Friday, Easter Sunday, Monday, Thursday, that whole period. That period of time, people search church 99 times. So Google searches for church are at the highest by one, but still at the highest that they've been in 12 months, practically mirroring what they are around Easter time. Now you might say, okay, those are Google searches. What about actual attendance? Well, churches have also seen at least a slight increase in church attendance. And Not the Bee goes on to talk about that. They post multiple tweets from multiple people who are witnesses to what their church experienced last Sunday, so the Sunday after the assassination. I'm going to pick a couple to read. Somebody named Caitlin Sinclair said, I've struggled with my faith. I've run from it. But today I walked back into church. My generation has been told we're too lost, too broken to rebuild. But this week marks the beginning of a return to faith, to truth, to God, and nothing will stop what's coming. Somebody named Tyler Carditis says, our church was packed today. Hundreds came to Christ through baptism after the service. The Charlie effect. Praise God. Somebody named Tony tweeted or posted on X, Charlie Kirk, look what you did. No parking. No parking at all. None. Had to park like 5 blocks away from church because everyone wants to come now. Amen. The Charlie effect. Love this. Sean Gorham tweets, record attendance numbers at church this morning. Somebody with the username L said, going to church this morning. first time in probably 15 years. I have had a relationship with God since 2019 and have recently felt the pull to find a congregation again. Today is the day. Thank you, Charlie. And the last one I'll read is from somebody with the username Insurrection Barbie. Posted a video, a TikTok video from someone named Kevin Leonard. Reposted that TikTok video and captioned it. He has only been to church twice, but because today Charlie Kirk couldn't go to church, he went. That's I'll read one more. Someone with the username of PageMaster says, we had 400 people in church today, a high outside of Easter. Kirk's death definitely had a 9/11 effect. May we not waste this. Preach the basic gospel in a bold way. Absolutely. I think the reason we are seeing such high church attendance, the reason we are seeing these vigils where people are focusing on singing, focusing on praying, is because they recognize what Charlie stood for. What Charlie Kirk stood for. I have an article pulled up from the New York Post. This article is called Charlie Kirk's Christian Faith Drove Him and Made Him Evil's Target. And this is a section of it. It reads, a podcaster once asked Kirk how he would want to be remembered. If I die, he responded, surprised. Then unflinchingly, I want to be remembered for my courage, for my faith. That would be the most important thing. Nothing more, no virtue signaling, just courage and faith. I am nothing without Jesus, Kirk told Russell Brand on his show. Days before his murder, he tweeted, Jesus defeated death so that you may live. He quoted Corinthians minutes before he was shot. This is what Charlie Kirk stood for. I recently shared a post that he made on my Facebook in which it was a picture of his family and the caption was God, family, and country in that order. That was what Charlie Kirk stood for. First and foremost, he was a Christian. He was a child of God. He stood to make God's name known and to glorify God in this nation and in the world and in his life. Second, most important to him was his family. He was a loving father. He was a loving husband. I'm sure he was a wonderful son. He cared deeply about his family. Not only did he care deeply about his faith and he cared deeply about his family, he cared about his country. He put thousands and thousands and thousands of hours into making sure that his country was on the right track to the best of his ability, to the best of what he believed and to the best of his ability. That was what Turning Point was all about. Trying to heal this country from the divisions that it has through open dialogue, through debate, through allowing right ideas to conquer wrong ideas, through logic and reason without violence. I believe that's one of the reasons why it affects people so much, that while he was doing what he did, trying to allow reason and logic and conversation and open dialogue to prevail, somebody took that away from this nation through the very thing he was trying to defeat. But the shooter might have won the battle, but I firmly believe they will win the war. Good will prevail over evil. And this leads me to the last article that I'd like to read, which is from Christianity Today. It is an article written to pastors about how to pastor your flock, how to pastor your church properly through this traumatic event. But there's a section of it that really resonated and stood out to me. I'd like to read it. Too often, many of us are content to delegate evangelism to evangelists, preaching to preachers, and truth-speaking to pundits, like Charlie Kirk, while comfortably sitting in the shadows of those who risk their reputation and relationships. We may not be policymakers in the Capitol or elders in our congregations, but we are nonetheless the missionary people of God, the light to the nations, and the image bearers of God who bear incredible responsibility. In Isaiah 6, the question God asked the prophet should ring in our ears, not just the ears of our prophets and public figures. Whom shall I send, and who will go for us? And our right response ought to echo Isaiah. Here I am, send me.